in the US, Europe, and Russia, but in no way as predictable a fashion as in Australia. Number 3. Crown Flash. A crown flash is an incredibly rare phenomenon that looks like a powerful searchlight moving around in the sky. They're so unusual that they're often interpreted as being mystical, and those who see them tend to report a spiritual experience. Commonality between all sightings is that there's a brightened crown of a cloud, followed by an aurora-like streamer that bursts out towards the sky. But the rate at which the direction of the light beams move is almost unbelievable. As they're very uncommon, there's little research into their formation, but researchers believe they understand in theory the causes. It's all to do with the arrangement of ice crystals within cumulonimbus clouds. They're surrounded by powerful electromagnetic effects that orient the crystals in the same direction, and when sunlight shines into them, it's refracted away and appears like a beaming light. For some reason, however, the direction of the electromagnetic field can rapidly change, likely due to discharges like lightning flashes within the cloud, and this causes the ice crystals to instantly move into an alternative orientation. This changes the direction that the beam of light is shining in a fraction of a second, and can result in the light seeming to dance across the sky in a mechanical way. To see one, you have to be at precisely the right position to see the refraction of the light, because the beam isn't being generated from within the cloud, which means that if you're ever lucky enough to witness a crown flash, you should stay and watch the show, because very few others have ever been able to. Number 2. Lenticular clouds. A lenticular cloud is a large type of stationary cloud that form at altitudes of up to 40,000 feet and take on a peculiar saucer-shaped form. They're formed when wind blowing across the land encounters large obstacles, and the results can be spectacular. Mountains, volcanoes, and even large buildings will severely disrupt the way that wind can flow through a region, and produces eddies in a similar way to what happens to water in a river. When this happens, and if the warmer air that contains water droplets flows over the eddy, the moisture can begin to condense and start to form a cloud. The circular nature of an eddy is why lenticular clouds take on such a smooth lens-like shape. And while those that live in mountainous regions may be quite used to seeing them, people who live in flat terrain won't have seen anything like it. It's because of this that lenticular clouds, especially when they form in places where they're less common, are linked with an increased number of UFO sightings, when people become convinced that such a perfect shape can only be the result of an intelligent design, and not simply a weather formation. The winds within them can be extremely turbulent too, which means that pilots of powered aircraft will actively avoid them, but glider pilots see them as some of the most enjoyable weather systems it's possible to fly into. With such huge uplift of wind at the leading edge of a lenticular cloud, it's possible to reach great heights in a matter of seconds, and has resulted in the gliding records for distance and for height both being set thanks to one. Number 1. Aurora. The most famous atmospheric phenomenon in the world is the aurora borealis, an effect that occurs close to the Earth's North Pole where charged particles are ionized and released photons that produce spectacular displays of light in the sky. They're also seen in the Antarctic too, where they're called the aurora australis.